a little bit of a rehab usage as well. So what I like to do first is just start with basic cats and cows, right? So feeling kind of this spinal motion into full flexion and into full extension, and just in a nice, smooth, and fluid manner. Focusing on the extension portion and also trying to move each individual spinal segment and really feel those segments move separately to get you a really nice full range of motion. Right, so super simple. You've probably seen that a million times. You run through sets of about, let's say sets of about 10 to 15. Let's just start out with two sets at a time for this particular program, and then we'll go from there. Okay, the next one's called the Sphinx Reach. So we're going to put you in a Sphinx position here, which is like so. So we also call this a spinal rest position, but for you it's going to become an exercise for the endurance of the low back. So you're just pressed up off the floor with your forearms, and I have a nice long neck position, and you're going to essentially be reaching one arm at a time forward towards the wall in front of you, but keeping your body as still as possible, bracing the opposite arm into the floor as you reach. Right? And as you're doing so, you're trying to stay lifted as high as you possibly can off the ground with your chest, and not allowing the rest of your body to rotate or shift or drop. So you'll feel this right away in the spinal extensors, maybe some of the deeper portions of the back musculature. And as you do so, take a nice deep breath in as you reach, and breathe out to come back. So this is for endurance and extension. And we like to do kind of a nice long set, slow reps, starting with about 10 on each side and progressing up to 15 each side. That should get you to about a minute or so of work. Next is going to be a press up, kind of a cobra and a press up combination that I like to combine. So this is essentially, once again, just for general low back strength, but also a little mobility mixed in there. So you're going to start face down again, arms out at your sides at 90 degrees. And then we're going to start with a deep breath in as you lift your chest and arms up as high as you possibly can. So it's going to be deep breath in, lift. Take a deep breath out. Let's stay up. And then fingertips down, deep breath in. Deep breath out. All the way down. Okay, so you have a combination of the strength on the initial lift. Let that big breath out, and trying to stay up as high as you were when you took a breath in is difficult because you lose some of that support from the air in the abdomen. So that's going to be 10 reps, nice and slow with the breathing. So once again, we're just working on that endurance. Okay, so that's kind of the, I would say, call it like a baby cobra, press up, whatever you want to call it. And we'll move on to the next one. Right, like so. Right, something like that is great for the hip flexors into the quads. Keeping them stretched is great. Of course, for that kind of patellofemoral area. This one's going to be more into the hips. So you're going to start in position like so, and we're going to rotate essentially into this kind of figure 4 position, which you'll see. So I'm just doing a little windshield wiper just to mobilize the hips. Trying to keep the just supporting with your arms behind you, keeping the spine nice and tall. So this is step 1. Just mobilizing through the hips in internal rotation and external rotation on the other, so opposites. Okay, then we're going to take you into a pigeon. So we're going to roll into that figure 4. You'll see 1, 2, 3, 4 here, 90 degrees. And we're going to have you reach towards the opposite wall. Okay, you can start with hand support, with fingertip support on the floor, but I want you to work up to using your back musculature, if you can, to hold you into this nice deep hip stretch. Take a deep breath. And then lift yourself up. Okay, and then hands down to switch. If you can switch without hands, fantastic. If you can't, use your hands back to this opposite side. Hinging at the hips, reaching for the wall, holding. Deep breath in and then push down into the floor with that lower leg. Lift yourself up. Back to start position. So it's kind of a moving, kind of a dynamic pigeon. I'm sure you've seen maybe pigeon in yoga class type situations or other stretches. That's the way I like to kind of combo it, make it a little bit more dynamic, but also active. So you have, you're working to kind of hold yourself up without using your arms and hands. So that's going to be first one for the hips. I know that was a long one. Hang in there. The next one's going to be a bridge pattern. So this is going to be a bridge with a single leg march at the top, and I'll show you how that's going to work. Essentially, we're going to take a double leg bridge into a single leg at the top to challenge the deeper musculature of the spine and some of the kind of rotational control components to build a little bit of that kind of spinal control from the inside out. Also, clearly you should feel it in the glutes and maybe in the hamstrings a bit and the back extensors as well. But you're going to start in a bridge position. Arms down, palms up, shoulders really grounded into the floor. Hips about, feet about hip width apart. And we're going to have you take a breath in. At the bottom, we're going to lift with the hips. But I want you to make sure you keep your rib cage down. So no flaring the ribs. So lock in the rib cage down by using the abdominals. Right? And then from here, you're going to lift one leg and reach it out towards the wall without letting your body shift or rotate. So you'll see I rotated a little bit there. Got to really kind of lock in. This one is not as easy as it looks or feels. It actually feels quite difficult. But really locking in without flaring the ribs and locking in and then not allowing your hips to rotate is actually quite challenging. So take your time. You got to do this one nice and slow. You really got to figure out how to press down into the floor really hard. Press. Each time you take that leg away, that same side hip is going to try to drop towards the floor. So you have to figure out, your body will try to figure out how to maintain that height, and you'll feel really some very interesting kind of sensations in that low back area. Once again, we're going to do about sets of from about 8 to 10 on each side, 2 to 3 sets, and work it into that program as well.